If you found this video, you probably know that I want to do this challenge in May where I want to raise funds for Dementia UK, where I'm going to walk a mile each day, take one picture during that walk, and I also want to use books from the library to find out more about dementia. So what I want to find out, I've broken down into 31 things. It should cover quite a broad spread. So I'll be starting basically from scratch. So, but one thing that would be important is to evaluate these books as to how effective it would be as a source of information. So I want to look at the year it was published, the target audience, how accessible it is to someone who's ordinary, just like you and me and everybody, general population. And my intention is to use the library so I can use what I have to get to where I want to go. Going to be, I guess, just showing the process of what I'm going to be doing, to show you how I got the information and where I got the information from that I'll eventually put together. This doesn't really have to be watched. This is just really going to be to document what I've done. So let's start with this one. So it's the Dementia Guide by the NHS. The year it was published. I also want to keep track of this. Okay. So, okay, I might just turn it. Maybe in the back. Okay. So it references a Live Well campaign 2013 to 15. So I think it's going to be in that era. I can look a little bit more online. For now, I will put that there and then see. Because we just need to know how up to date is the information that it's giving. Even if a book is old, it would still have very good resources, and but you just need to make sure that it's going to cover everything, and maybe what is new, what has been done after that. So for now, I'm going to put 2013 to 15. So it's going to be after that, because they're referencing, or maybe during, we'll see. Okay, year is published, target audience. Now this looks fairly accessible, and it has a lot of information to direct anyone for help. So I'm going to say this is for all of us. I'll say anyone, including me. How accessible is it to someone who's just like me? Yes, very, very accessible. Yeah, it has a good layout. The information is quite easy to find. You'd find like numbers in as you need it, like contact information, which fact sheets you need to go to get more information about things. So I think very accessible. And the reason I need to check accessibility is because if it's not very accessible to someone that doesn't have much information, I'm not going to understand what it's saying. So sometimes then you have to start on sources that are accessible until you understand the topic, and then you can move on to other sources that are much more difficult to understand. And also you need to think about how fast it's going to take for you to understand the subject. If you use something that's incredibly difficult, it's going to take you ages because you have to research each little thing that you don't understand. Whereas if you use something that's a little bit closer to what you already know and build on from that, it'll go a lot faster. So you also need to think something like this would focus on what you need to know as maybe someone that knows someone that has dementia, whereas some of the more complicated sources would be focused on other things like treating, like the other side of the coin. So that's why we're also looking at that. So I'm going to keep note of this, because when I'm going to be looking for my answers to these questions, my deciphering dementia, I also need to think about which source would be best to answer that question. Okay, my next one is Dementia by June Andrews. Okay. Okay, wait, that might not be the page. It's this page. So this is, okay, I guess originally 2015, and then again in 2020. Revised edition, that's good. Okay, so we know that this one's... Yeah. Wait, so yes, I want the year published, 2020. Oh, I mean, feels like yesterday, but that was a while ago, so maybe there's something new. Target audience. It says you have practical advice for families, professionals, and people living with dementia and Alzheimer's disease. So, quite broad. Yeah, very broad, because it includes professionals. Whereas the other one, I think, would be mostly focused for people living with dementia or Alzheimer's disease or families. So, let's say all plus professionals. You can also see they kind of say her credentials there. So she should be very informed, and this should be a very valuable book to understand the topic. How accessible is it to someone who's like me? It says the one-stop guide, so it feels like it's going to be very thorough and how accessible. I think it's going to be accessible, but maybe this would be something I need to evaluate after I've used them more thoroughly. So far, it's looking It's looking more dense than the previous one, but it still looks accessible. You just, because I mean it is the one-stop guide, so they do need to fit more information in. So what can I say? What do I say to that one? Very accessible. I'm going to say thorough. That's what I'll put under there for now. Maybe medium. Light to, no, yeah, medium. Okay. This one looks fairly straightforward to explain. This one is Can I Tell You About Dementia by Jude Walton. So now this is a guide for family, friends, and carers. Okay. 2013. And I just tried to select quite a broad range of books when I was in the library. I might not have found the most recent edition because they do have several different editions sometimes. So that's maybe something I could have changed and improved a bit. But as I said, sometimes it'll still have sometimes that information will be timeless. But it's just something we need to think about. So the target audience for this one was family, friends, and carers. So again, I'll say all. Because even if you are a professional, you are family, friends, and carers. Yeah. For someone, maybe. But this can be accessible to the general public to understand. I mean, sorry, yes, that was the next one. I should talk about the target audience. So that's, did I do that properly? Okay, yeah, no, I can say all, because that's what I've been doing. Anyone, including me. Okay, let's do that again. Okay, and then how accessible. This, I have read this one already. This one was very accessible. It kind of showed you the point of view of the person with dementia. So I think it was a very good way of taking you into their world. So I will say very accessible. Okay. Then we got ABC of Dementia. By, or edited, okay, so it's, I don't know, edited them. Okay. So, okay, we're looking for a year. Get my hands for this. Okay. Okay. 2014. Okay, well. I'm almost certain there would be a newer edition of this, but again, we'll use this as the first step. So let me just look at what I'm doing. So yes, the year it was published 2014. This is first edition. Is this a first edition? Okay, I think so. Target audience. Now this is professionals. I've already taken a little bit of a look at this one, and you have to know specific information to be able to understand everything. I think if you were a doctor, this would be very, very simple for you, because I imagine there's probably a series of books that would explain different things in these similar formats. So it'll be very accessible to doctors, not as much to me, but, or maybe at all, but I'm willing to give it a shot, see, because this would have very valuable information for some of those questions that is a bit more tricky and won't really be explained very much in the other sources, like how is it diagnosed, and like the more nitty-gritty of it. It'll be interesting to look into that, but it's definitely something that I'm not going to be able to explain well, but I'd like to understand more. So let's go back. Target audience, professionals. And I'm going to say me, because I'm interested. So, like, you know, the limit is target audience. I don't think I'm the target audience, so we'll keep it to professionals, but it doesn't mean I can't read it. Or try. How accessible is it to someone who's just like me? I think they probably would try, but because they need to keep it brief, they're not always going to explain every term or every way of doing things, which is understandable. I mean, I don't think I'm the target audience for this. Okay, so I'll say geared for the professionals. Actually, sometimes they tell you who's the target audience in the beginning of a book. But I mean, okay, this one looks fairly obvious, but yeah, well, I think we got this covered, got our questions. Okay. Okay, let's just do it in order of them being here. This one is Reducing the Symptoms of Alzheimer's Disease and Other Dementias by Jackie Poole. Okay, we're looking for the year. It was published. No, don't worry. Okay, 2019. Also doesn't feel that long ago. And I'm looking for the year is published, target audience, how accessible is it to someone like me? Wow. It looks very interesting. Okay. And I said that they've had a 40-year journey with dementia, so it is a subject that they have been looking into for a long time. Okay, so the next question I need to answer is, what's the target audience? This one might be more difficult to think about. Okay, because it's about reducing the symptoms for Alzheimer's disease and other dementias. I think it's going to be geared towards people that are concerned about someone or themselves. And I guess professionals as well. But it's the way it's written looks a little bit more accessible to the general person. So I will say all and maybe professionals. How accessible is someone who's just like me? Okay, this one I think I might need to evaluate after I've taken a much more closer look at this. I like it when books have forms. I think it looks very systematic. So far, that's the impression I get. Okay, I'll evaluate it a little bit more once I've used it to answer some of the questions. This one, I was thinking I would need it for which questions? Yes, how can I reduce my risk? How does nutrition affect dementia? How does emotion affect dementia? And how does what you do affect dementia? So that's what I need this book to. Well, there might be the answers in some of the other books. And even better if I can get it cross-referenced to more than one source. Then I would feel more confident in what I've learned. So, wait, sorry, what's the question? How accessible is it? Okay, to be determined. But I think someone would be able to understand if you go systematically through the book. It's accessible. I'll just say accessible for now. We'll see. Question mark. I think it is. Okay, another nice little one. So this is helpful hints for carers. It's okay. There's more than one university. So there's University of Stirling and Leeds. So gives a bit of confidence that it would be thoroughly checked and things. Tricky one. So it was revised in February 2012. But again, I'm fairly certain some of these hints might be timeless. But it just means that there might be a new edition out there. Which I can look for. Sorry, question. Question was, what's the target audience? So this is carers. And I mean, like I'm here, anyone that has an interest in something can pick it up. But it's normally written for a particular group of people. Each book, article, yeah. And you see who it was written for, so then you'll understand why it's focusing on certain information and not other information. How accessible is it to someone who's just like me? So, I'm not a carer. So I don't know if there might be some specific things that they would understand a little bit better, or like once they describe the situation, they would just immediately understand. but it's written in a very accessible way. So we'll see if there's anything that I didn't quite understand that might be specific to the caring profession. But for now, I'm going to say accessible. And my last one. Let's bring you. What I Wish People Knew About Dementia by Wendy Mitchell. Wow. She was awarded an honorary Doctor of Health. Wow. That's inspiring. So first published in 2022. This edition was published in 2023. More our realm, but yeah, okay, I guess yeah, 2026. But this feels nice and recent. So 2023. It doesn't say revised, so I need to see if does that mean that it's going to be the same information that was from 2022, but just this was printed in 2023. But again, something I can look into. Target audience. What I wish people knew about dementia. This is going to be for everybody. All people. Yes, I think I'm quite confident in that, but again, there's time to learn more. I can always change it as I go. How accessible is it to someone who's just like me? Oh. Oh. Wow. Okay, this is accessible. Also liked, it's a very interesting layout. They kind of group it, because most books are like quite sequential, but this is grouped by like idea, or like the topics are like this. Kind of like how I've seen poetry books do things. That was the literature evaluation I get, or just to trying to understand what do I have to get to where I want to go, and how useful will it be to get me to understand these things, or just an idea. Is it going to be able to do it? Well, let's see.